Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how natural a hair transplant looks. A lot of questions that we get, a lot of comments on Dr. McGrath's YouTube channel is asking, is this going to look natural? And I have had some patients that get very cold feet as the procedure gets closer because maybe they were online snooping around and looking and seeing some not so good quality hair transplant clinics do some things that scared them. So let's come back together and talk about what we've spoke about for years, which is what I call our hair transplant cheat sheet checklist. How do you know for sure that this is not going to look funny or weird? Well, the good news in response to that question is by today's standards, as long as you choose even an average doctor, it's pretty hard to mess these things up these days. They might not grow, that's a problem. They might be too spread out, that's a problem. They might not be angled and directed properly, that's a problem. These are all issues that you don't want, but it's not going to look like the old days of the old doll's head look or the plugs or anything like that. The machines we use, the technicians that have been in this industry for 20, 25 years, the doctors that are board certified, and again, we're talking about clinics from these videos that are board certified specialists that do only hair transplants. There's not going to be any issue. But with that being said, just to help with your confidence in that, I wanted to make a few notes and kind of articulate that to you on this video. So again, the first thing we want to do is find or search out a doctor who's board certified, American Board of Hair Restoration Surgeons, has been doing this for, let's say, more than 5 years, just so we don't squeeze out the younger doctors, has enough videos and photos on the website and on the YouTube channel and other social media to show you the quality of work that that doctor does. And always remember, you want to ask who you're speaking to at that clinic. Is that the doctor that's going to be doing the work on me? Is that his work? So when it comes to the artistry and design of the hairline, you want to make sure that that doctor you're signing up for is actually doing that work. And this applies more to the larger clinics that do multiple surgeries at one day and have multiple doctors in the clinic. So I've always studied things probably much more than I should have. And obviously I've studied hair restoration and the hair transplantation industry for years and years and years. And it always comes down to really about 50% science and 50% art. Now, I'm a big fan of science. I love technology. I love the research, just like you do. And when I look at the science component of a hair transplant, these are just basic building blocks of success with a clinic that does only hair restoration surgery. Number one, how long has the staff been there? And that would be based on if the doctor is a full-time hair doctor. When you're a full-time hair doctor, you're able to employ staff, don't forget that's a payroll expense, that are going to be working every day. If you're not a full-time hair doctor, there's really not a big investment. So you're hiring in people that come from either outside your city, outside your state, that are not used to working together, or maybe really not even that good at this, that someone referred into you. You as a patient don't even know who's working on you. So that's going to be an issue, and that's a problem. The microscopes, these are just parts of the procedure that are very important. You know, I've had this conversation with many patients where doctors that don't use microscopes are putting you at risk. Why is that? Well, they're lazy. Their staff is lazy. I don't know how to answer that. In my opinion, when you're going to have something done, it's going to be done right. And when you're talking about tiny little follicles, I mean, this is like threading 2,000-3,000 needles a day. It's pretty taxing on the eyes, even if they're using loops, which is magnification, but not as precise as microscopes. So the doctors out there that I associate myself with, that Dr. McGrath level of hair restoration specialists, they do what's called dense packing. They're going to pack the hairs as tight as they can, and that's also part of the science, because if you pack them too tight, they won't grow. So in order to pack them as tight as you can and still fight for blood and be able to grow, you need to use microscopes, so that way the tissue that surrounds the follicle is trimmed down as small as possible. There's arguments in how many follicular units per square centimeter, and if you're talking to one of these specialists, they're all about the same numbers. They're all right around a number where they know that it's going to be a very good packing. At the same time, they know they're all going to grow because they do this every day. So microscopes are important. The staff is very important. And of course, the doctor and his facility is very important in all the different aspects of just the procedure itself. It is an outpatient procedure. There's no general anesthesia. But how does that doctor organize his staff, and how does the day flow? How do things go? That's all something that obviously, if you're doing it every day, you better be doing it right. And then once we've chosen that premier clinic and we're happy with it and we're ready to move forward, what about the artistry? How does that doctor's hands work in regards to creating hairlines and creating whorl patterns in the crown and creating that transition from the front to the back of the head and dense packing, and be able to do that all at once? And remember, we're on the clock because we've got to get this done in a day, because the tissue can't be out of the body any longer than that. So it's a little like what I call like a symphony, where you've got a little bit of everything going on at the same time. You've got the extraction process, removing the tissue. You've got dissecting and trimming under microscopes. That's time consuming. At the same time as that's going on, you have the doctor and his artistry using his hands and his skill set to create your new head of hair. In my opinion, where we are today is it's all about video. I think video is a better platform and format for the patient because you can freeze the screen. So take a look at some of Dr. McGrath's comb throughs, which are on his YouTube channel. You're able to see combing through the hair, and you're able to either use slow motion or freeze it. When you look at it, I call it two-dimensional photo on the website. That's very important too, because you want to see the doctor's work. You want to see someone that has your color hair, your color skin, or close to it, your amount of hair loss prior or close to it. It's never going to be perfect. And you want to be able to use those photos to say, wow, that was one procedure, that's pretty impressive, or that's not too impressive. And then you ask questions about that. Well, why does this one look so good and this one doesn't look so good? Because results are going to vary. When it comes to comb throughs, you as a at home, in the privacy of your own space, can take a look and see what that hair looks like, angle and direction as it comes out of the scalp. I might have OCD issues, but I'm always looking at hairlines. I'm always looking at temporal peaks. I'm always looking at how they tie in. And I'm not so concerned about the overall amount of hair on the head, because the density and thickness and all those subjective terms really comes down to all the other subjects we talk about on other videos: the use of finasteride, the quality of the donor hair, the amount of baldness, the amount of potential hair loss. All these things add up to determine how many grafts over the course of one's life that they can transplant, to borrow from Peter to pay Paul, in order to cover their scalp. But when someone's looking at me, or when I'm looking at someone and I'm looking at their hairline, that is where that artistry comes in. There is an argument for the rest of the scalp as well, no question about it. You don't want to go into a pool or a shower, come out and have your hair coming out in all different directions in the back or the mid scalp. I mean, yeah. But what can I see in all of these comb throughs? What can I see in a lot of these before and after photos? It's always about the hairline area. So my advice to you would be to see for yourself. And if that doctor can do hairlines the way that a Dr. McGrath can do hairlines, you're in good shape. When you look through comb throughs, dark hair, light skin, that'll jump out a little bit more. That'll give you an idea of the doctor's skill set. Hey, I hope this helps in you guys making a decision for a phenomenal artistic hair transplant.